setting up our meeting for Facebook Live, so you speak first.
All right. Ready? Oh,
Yeah.
I see. So, all right, guys, welcome to our live Healing for the Akhirah series. Thank you, Cordelia, for allowing me to be on your to be together on Facebook instead of Instagram. So we're gonna begin with ourselves. My name is again Ola, and I'm the founder of Be Fit for Akhirah. I'm a certified personal trainer, functional fitness specialist, and a swim instructor. And I'm also a podcast host of Purposeful Fitness with Coach Ola. And the reason why I'm starting the Healing for Akhirah series is because I would like to bring in mental health aspect into personal training and fitness industry, but also as an idea that was inspired from a friend of mine to talk about it, since I like to write a lot and vent as well. Cordelia, and please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So
the reason why I'm starting the Healing for Akhirah series is because I would like to bring in mental health aspect into personal training and fitness industry, but also as an idea that was inspired from a friend of mine to talk about it, since I like to write a lot and vent as well. What happened? And please tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So
the reason why I'm starting the Healing for Akhirah series is because I would like to bring in mental health aspect into personal training and fitness industry.
Let me see. Okay, I've just shut off the sound for that. All right, are you hearing two sounds too?
I was. No, I'm not. Now
Okay, now I'm not.
live. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So, technology is amazing, and we have so many options available today, and that's the great part. So, as you know, we advertised yesterday that we're going live on Instagram, and Instagram was glitchy. So we pivoted, and we're here live on my Facebook timeline. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm an author, a speaker, and a transformation strategist. I call myself the emotions opener because I guide women to find the opportunity in their difficult emotions so that they can show up powerfully. And I'm really excited to be here with you today to talk about ways to heal. And that's pretty much what my program Replenish Me is all about. It's all about healing.
Yeah, and like now we are Ramadan, so Ramadan Mubarak to you and to everyone who celebrates. Before we talk about how Ramadan is a great opportunity, let's start with what is actually healing. What does healing mean?
Healing is actually, well, from the physical perspective, it presents itself in forms of aches and pains and fever, quite frankly. And when we feel those things, we know that there's an imbalance in our body. And, we've been taught to just treat the symptoms. You have a fever, make the fever stop. No. When you feel the fever, that is actually a healing crisis in the body where the body's like, okay, we need to get rid of all the toxins. And in order to do that, it's just like a clogged pipe, right? And a clogged pipe, you wouldn't patch it up more and keep the clog in there. You would actually put an enema, right, to allow it to all come out. So just allowing, leaning into, if you will, into that pain and the aches so that your body can express all the things it doesn't need.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when I was doing the kind of like sigh in my body, one of my wellness coaches asked me, she says, your body is healing. And so like that's another thing that you can tell us about, but when you're, I guess your area of expertise actually it's not mine, but when we say healing, like it's also forgetting the past, not forgetting the past, but like coping with the past, understanding the past, and like trying to like let go, move on, goodbye. Is that also
Well,
part of it?
like on the emotional level, right? It's the same thing. So we have to, in the healing process, we understand that life has always and still is and will always be working for us and not against us. So if something happened in the past, right, it was a necessary step for you to be where you are now. If that hadn't happened, you would be somewhere else and you would be different. Okay, so just I call that process of healing self-forgiveness. That this is where you're not blaming yourself for something traumatic that may have happened in the past, but instead you're seeing the lesson in it, right? It doesn't always feel good, but it's better than running from it, right? Because you can continue to run and say that didn't happen, that wasn't me, right? Or, I wasn't naughty or whatever, but it, most of the time, especially some of the people I work with where they've had traumatic things happen as children, right? Of course, they're a child, they're an innocent, they don't even know what's happening. So it's just giving yourself space and recognizing that, okay, that happened so that I understand um, those type of people exist. And so that I'll know to find the signs through my life. But what happens is, when we tick off the boxes and we want to, let's say someone was sexually molested as a child, right? And they hide it, right? And so they will keep pretty much attracting that same kind of energy throughout their life. And they may even marry someone who's abusive because they never healed from, okay, it was never my fault, right? And I didn't do anything wrong. But now I know that these people exist and I know that there are places that I can get help. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I stay away from those type of people and I make other girls aware of this kind of thing, right? Because that's why it perpetuates, because no one talks about it. So
Very great points about they never healed, so they got back into it, which is why healing is so important and why Ramadan is a great U-turn for all of us. So we mentioned what is healing. Now we can talk about like how to heal, I guess. Like what are some of the easy ways, not easy ways, like what's some ways we can heal? Basic stuff.
yeah, real super basic stuff like, Ramadan, let's talk about food, right? I love to
Yep.
talk about food. So a great way to heal in Ramadan, right, is it's actually designed so that our bodies can have a healing crisis. And so a lot of times the first 3-4 days of Ramadan, people are like, oh, I have a headache. Oh, I feel sick. I have to go to the doctor. Actually, you don't. That's what's supposed to happen the first 4 days.
I have a headache. Yep.
You're supposed to have a headache.
It's the caffeine. Yeah, it's the caffeine withdrawal.
Right? You may have a caffeine withdrawal.
Yeah.
Your stomach may hurt. There may be some extra churning. You may have diarrhea the first couple of days. You may have a fever, but that's literally the body heating up to extract the toxins. And that's on the physical level. So what's happening on the spiritual level is as that healing crisis is occur, that opens the door for us to change our state, right? We move into a different maqam, it's called, like a different state of being and in our spirituality. So when those physical things are happening, when you have the headache, my best remedy during Ramadan for headache is reading like 2 pages of Quran. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it in the world. And especially at the end of the fast, like Asr time, it gets really, between Asr and Maghrib, it's a little bit hard. This is the best time really to just read Quran. Another thing you can do, because you'll feel aches and pains, a lot of people think you shouldn't exercise. Okay, exercise, like don't do your like hour-long workout, right? But during the day, just to help those toxins to get out, because we do have gases in our joints. And, also like when we breathe, like you were saying, when you take a deep breath, that is healing, because that is the easiest way to detox. right? So you can just do simple stretching, yoga, Pilates, like restorative kind of yoga. Those things are really great for healing during Ramadan. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to record a podcast episode talk about like why we need to work out during Ramadan. It's actually
Mm,
very important for mobility. And for anyone who's watching, listening, there's an interview with Dr. Jen, a physical therapist, where we talked about like how to regain mobility in Ramadan. And she actually said how our prayers is actually a form of exercise and a way of mobility. But like on an emotional level, for me, like my Ramadan is have been a way of how can I say it? Like for me it's like my retreat time.
yes.
That month is like a retreat with myself and him, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and like my connection, my personal growth. And I know a lot of us, like right now with the coronavirus, a lot of people are like, oh, sad perhaps for not having the same iftar rituals or like the atmosphere of going to the massage and stuff. But for me it's not like it's not old, it's the same. um that's why it's a perfect opportunity to sit down and like reflect, like where we just reflect on life and take a 5 minute to journal, to write, um on a mental level. You're frozen. Okay. So forgive yourself on a mental level, spiritual level, and like even a physical level. Like it's okay if you're not, yeah, you don't have the body shape, first of all, right? Well, that isn't about like losing weight. And it's okay if you not doing like the race, or like not doing like a like you're not doing whatever that you had your mindset to. It's so we talk about what is healing, how to heal, and so what how besides all that, how can Ramadan be an extra step to help us heal as well?
I mean, just to your point, this take it as a retreat. And I talked about this in my podcast that went live, I think, a couple of days ago with Zuhair Garish. And he was talking about this is the way it should be. This is an opportunity to be still and just really just pick one thing, right? Because we always have that we want to be so productive in Ramadan and do all the things and do go all the places and all the charity. But now we're afforded the opportunity to just pick one thing and really strengthen that part of us. If you don't pray on time, you can like just focus on praying on time, right? If you like have a really bad tongue, right? Because let's
Just
be
be
honest, we're
real.
human.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you just like can't say anything nice to anybody, this is like really the Ramadan isn't about missing food. It's about it's all the other things really, right? We're horrible to people. We say awful things. We do awful things, and that's just a human condition. And this is an opportunity to correct that. So whatever is your major beast, like what's the thing that you just, if you could make yourself again, that you would stop doing, just focus on that in Ramadan.
Yeah, I know, great points. And I wrote down anxiety, I wrote down depression and frustration. It's because number one, I still deal with anxieties, so I'm like coping with that. And I think like anxieties will never like disappear, in my opinion. There's a hadith about it, and not about it disappearing, but I'm saying like it's part of life. And then like depression, um, I don't think myself as like depressed, but people who are like biologically depressed, perhaps, it can be harder for them to fast. But it's really important, like how you said, to take one thing and to work on that one thing. And then for people who might be frustrated, this is like a test. I'm part of like I'm one of those people. It's a test of patience. Like, calm down. It's okay. Take this month to like de-stress as much as you can. As fast as this life is going, it's okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine. And
Yeah.
one of the things with depression, and I suffered from postpartum depression like a long, long time ago, and that's really what directed me more into Salaf, right? And that's just purification of our heart. And in the study of Tasawwuf, the first thing it says is you have to be grateful. And I was like, I'm grateful, you know? And like, I don't think we understand what gratitude means. It's like really super simple, but that's something to work on during Ramadan, right? So, I mean, even when I work with clients who are not Muslim, and I just tell them, when you wake up in the morning and say thank you. I mean, for us as Muslims, we have the whole dua that we say when we wake up, right? It's like, Alhamdulillahi alladhi ahyana ba'da ma nushur, right? So you're already saying that when you wake up, like, but you see how fast I said that. What if we slowed it down and said, Alhamdulillah, like that, and just like make it really slow, really embody it, really mean it. And then what if every time during the day when we said Alhamdulillah, we're saying Alhamdulillah instead of Alhamdulillah, right? You know what I'm saying?
Astaghfirullah. It's like astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah,
Right.
astaghfirullah.
Right. Are you really asking for forgiveness? Are you
Yeah.
like just take a minute with that, breathe into that. Like,
Mhm.
so many opportunities, all those normal du'as that we say all day long. And so it took me about 5 years to really grasp just the concept of what does gratitude really mean and tasawwuf, right? And then the other thing that with depression, from a nutritional standpoint, you want to make sure that you're stabilizing your B's. And a lot of the time it has to do basically with niacin, B6. Well, that's B3 and B6, but we always hear about B12, right? And sadly, these B complex, even the super B complex, has very little niacin in it. But this is something that you should really take more of, and you can find it in foods, right? So nuts, seeds, a lot of legumes. Like we eat, I think many people eat beans more than well, that's not true, but if you increase your bean intake over your meat intake during Ramadan, I'm just going to say that's an opportunity to eat for depression, right? So if your normal state is to be depressed, just have more beans. um and and in general, just don't eat as much, because that's the other thing, right? So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that 90% of the disease is in the stomach, right? Because like I said before, this is an opportunity to cleanse, and a lot of our desires are tied to our stomach, right? And to our private parts. So if we can control it by when you break your fast, that's not the time to eat like it's, Eid. That's the time you just have enough because your stomach is shrunk from the whole day, right? And just, um, one small bowl. And I actually go into this in my Ramadan food hacks book, which is on Amazon. And it tells you exactly the right portions to eat. It has recipes in there and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, great points. Actually, so on Saturdays, I'm gonna do the meditation for Akhira, and tomorrow will be the first as well, um, which is part of the healing process. So to summarize it, healing it takes time. Again, it doesn't happen one day. It just takes time. And then how to heal during Ramadan, pick one thing, like you said. Focus on that one thing. If you want to do a couple things, one thing. That's something I need to work on. Like it's hard for me to say it right now. It's just I can't be preaching this. Pick one thing as much as you can. And then number two is gratitude. And so like as a tool, I would like to recommend the dua journal. It's actually very nice. There's a Ramadan legacy, or just like a pick of paper, like write, but like actually feel gratitude. When you feel gratitude, you take action, and I think that's
Yeah.
something I need to continue working on myself. Like I'm grateful, therefore I gotta take action, and then that goes back to the intention. Like why am I like the intention, which is what Ramadan is about. Every day, if we renew it, inshallah, by the time we reach the last 10 days, we can physically run to the healer so he can
Yeah.
heal us more, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Yeah, do you have any questions? Any like last suggestions, remarks?
No, I appreciate this opportunity. Anyone who's watching this on the replay, and I actually apologize that I can't see comments right now. So if you're putting questions in or everything, I'll have to answer those afterwards. but I am having a 5-day boot camp to replenish and boost your immune system, which starts on Saturday. Yes, I'm doing this during Ramadan. So here's the thing. Over the 5 days, we cover sleep. That's one of the great stabilizers, right, to boost your immune system and your overall well-being and healing. We'll talk about thoughts. And yes, what you think and what you say matters. We'll talk about what to eat and how to move, and then your emotions on the 5th day. So I invite you to that, and I'll put the links below after we shut this down. Yeah.
Yes, awesome. I know. Awesome. So thank you so much for your time, and the book. Don't forget your books.
The Ramadan food hacks. I'll also put the link for that. Yeah.
And then the new that came out. You want to
Oh,
tell
right.
us?
One Habit for Success. I kind of spammed like the whole Facebook with that yesterday, so I'm gonna just relax.
Okay. But that's awesome. I'm so proud of you. Like I want to do my own book one day, but it's just like, how do you guys manage all that time? Amazing. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Salam alaikum.
Welcome.